Welcome back to Matchday Breakfast. I'm joined by two new guests here on the couch. We've got from Worthing Thunder, Daniel Hildreth and Milton Chavis. How are you doing, guys?
Very well, thank you. Good.
Now, Daniel, you are the head coach at Worthing Thunder.
Yes, I am, yeah.
And how long have you been there?
As a player, I've played in and around Sussex for about 17 years. But currently for the Worthing Thunder men's team, I'll be going into my third year as a coach.
And on the flip side, Milton, you're quite a new arrival.
Yeah.
How long have you been in Sussex?
About 5 days.
What you like about what you feel about Sussex? Do you like it?
I like it. It's pretty chill. It's a lot smaller than what I'm used to, but it's pretty cool.
Where are you originally from?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Okay. I don't know too much about Raleigh other than the Hardy Boys are from there. That's about it. So this is your first time playing in the UK, is that right?
Mm-hmm. It was my first time out of the country, out of the USA.
What was it about Worthing that attracted you here?
Really, just talking to coach and talking to some of the people around here. It was just a good vibe. So and he gave me the opportunity, so I took it. Okay,
now the season starts properly today with your cup game against Crawley. Before we talk about the season going forward, let's talk a little bit about the pre-season so far, because we've been paying a little bit of attention to it. Primarily last two games against USA Select and also Surrey United.
That's correct.
How's the pre-season gone?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. We've obviously had those two pre-season friendlies in place. We also had a closed-door pre-season scrimmage game against USA Select, their B team. And in all of these situations, we're using it for a purpose of development, with cohesion and understanding of the new offences that we're putting in, etc. It's not about winning and losing the games. Obviously, as a coach, you never go in trying to lose or expecting to lose or thinking you will lose, but the priority was about our preparation moving forward. We were in different scenarios in each of these games where we had absences with players. Obviously it was the first game for Milton last week, which was great for him to be involved and see what we're about and gel with the guys, and a credit to him. He got off the plane Friday morning, and Saturday during the game he's calling people's names. He knows some of the offences that we're running, and it was really good to see, and I think that bodes well for us moving forward.
And how hard was it for you to get involved in a team that quickly? I mean, getting off the plane on a Friday and then playing on Saturday, that must be so hard.
It was kind of difficult, but I mean, the team was cool, and I was just excited to be here, to be playing again. So it was fine.
And before coming to the UK, where else had you played?
In high school, I played at Word of God Christian Academy. And in college, I went to Kilgore College in Texas. And then I graduated from Morehead State University in Kentucky.
Okay. What's the setup like for basketball in America? It's obviously a huge sport over there. Mm-hmm. Probably fair to say a lot bigger than it is in the UK, really. And it's brought through right the way from being a youngster, isn't it, really, all the way through education. So what's it sort of like? Usually most of the successful basketball players play from the time they're 8 to 10 all the way up until whenever they stop playing. So it's huge. It's all in the middle schools, high schools, and it's just fun. Okay, and at what point was it that you realised that you had what it took to be a basketball player? I would probably say 10th grade, because I went from being 5'5" to 5'11", so a lot of things changed.
How old are you at 10th grade? How old are you at 10th grade?
Like 15.
15.
Yeah, like 15.
When you had that sort of growth spurt up to 5'11", was it sort of like, I know a lot of schools in the UK, it's sort of like as soon as a PE teacher realises that you're developing naturally into the right build for a sport, that you just sort of get pushed towards it. Was that the case for yourself, or was it more that you realised that you had that build and so you wanted to do it? Yeah, I wanted to do it, and they did this. They did that too as well. So yeah, it was. I don't know. It was okay. Now that you're here with Worthing, what's your personal aims for the season? I'm a winner. I despise losing. I despise losing. So like even at practice the other day, I lost a drill. I'm in there mad.
But yeah, I just want to win, man. I like my teammates. I'm gonna come here to do whatever I can to help us win.
And what about for yourself as coach? You know, what are you hoping to get out of this season?
Obviously, again, you know, we're winners. That's, you know, everybody goes into every season as a coach and as a team saying we will win the league, we will win the playoffs, we will win the cup, we will win the trophy. And it's not until the point where statistically it's not possible do you then, you know, re-angle your direction to what's the next achievement. So yes, we're going to this season with the intention to win the league, with the intention to win the playoffs, to win the intention to win the cup and to win the trophy. You know, as a base. Bottom line, you want to make the playoffs. That's the big event in basketball, is to win the playoffs. So that's the top 8 teams in the league at the end of the season make the playoffs. Team 8 plays team 1, 2, 7, 4, 5. So, you know, that would be a bare minimum for us to make the playoffs and then obviously proceed going forward. But yeah, I mean, and again, for us and for the club, it's also about the development. It's opportunity for guys to come over here, use this as a stepping stone to get on to bigger, better things, and it's to develop our younger players and give them an opportunity to play at a high level. So it's getting the balance right. It's not all about winning, although it is. It's not all about winning.
What's the popularity like at the moment for basketball within the UK? Obviously, the big sports in the UK, you'd say it's going to be football, your rugby, that sort of stuff. Where does basketball rank, would you say?
Well, I think it's the highest participated indoor sport in the country. And I think obviously there's been a lot going on with GB sport and the removing of funding, and I think actually it's brought the basketball community closer together, and it's a case where everybody's trying to prove the government wrong and say, look, we have still got this, we've got so many kids playing, we've got so many talented individuals going to America, playing in Europe, etc. And I think it probably has created a buzz for those that are involved to put a little bit more effort to promote it even more, and hopefully that will draw more people into the sport, and it will move forward, and they'll start getting the funding back. They'll prove the government wrong from the funding that's been cut, and we'll see an improvement nationally.
You mentioned about funding being cut. At what point has that sort of happened for basketball in the UK?
After the Olympics, they cut funding because they didn't win a medal, basically is the long and short of it, and they've decided obviously to divert their funding into various other sports such as sailing, because obviously they need the money, and other sports as well. So unfortunately basketball was one of those that was left on the shelf.
Now, from my point of view, what you're saying there, I would suggest that if, you know, at the Olympics a specific sport doesn't win a medal, that would be an indicator that maybe a bit more money should be put into it to help develop. What's your opinion on that?
We're singing from the same song sheet. That's exactly it. You know, and I think that it is a case that it was unexpected for us to do as well as we did in regards to getting to the Olympics. The build up, we competed with the big European nations. You know, we competed with Spain in the build up to it, and we competed with Serbia, and I think that, you know, it was almost against all costs, rather than, yeah, we had this opportunity and everything was pushed behind it and this is what we achieved. It was almost as though we were doing it despite everything else, and I think that in itself shows that if there was more funding into it at grassroots level, ultimately, because at grassroots level that's where we're going to get the numbers, and when you've got a numbers game, then you're able to filter down and get the elite coming through. So yeah, I agree. I think you know, if we're in a position to create more opportunities for the younger players, and then we'll see the benefits in the long run. And to go on to your point about Milton in America, everybody plays basketball at school in America or whatever it is, and that's where all their sport is being played. Whereas over here in England, you may play school sports, but then to play basketball you go and join a local league, such as Brighton Cougars or Angmering Cobras or whatever in Sussex, and that's where you'll develop your sport. That's where you'll go on. If you're good at the local league level, you'll play national level, so on and so forth. Whereas in America, it's all school based, so they've got the funding, they've got the facilities and everything behind it. And that's the biggest gripe in English basketball: cost of facilities and availability of facilities.
In America, when you're doing the sort of high school sports and what have you, is it what's the atmosphere like? Is it sort of as you see in films and in books, where like the local players in the schools and the colleges are sort of like big superstars?
Yeah, it is. It's actually just like that. It's just like that. Like, I remember at times, like, our gym, like, like everybody couldn't get in. It was just so packed, and like it's fun, man. It's crazy. It's way different. It's a lot different.
And how do you sort of learn to cope with that at what's quite a young age, effectively, in your teens?
I guess I was just used to it. I'm not sure. Like I didn't know of anything else. Like I'm just used to it.
It's nice to sort of walk around the hometown and just be sort of recognised.
Stick my chest out.
I'm aiming to have that sort of soon one day, but you know, it's not quite there yet.
Just round the corner. Huh?
Absolutely. Now, we're going to go to a commercial in just a few seconds, but when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about education within the UK, and I'm really intrigued from your point of view as a coach, exactly what to get your ideas of what needs to change to help basketball become a lot bigger. And you mentioned the Olympics there as well. There was another big sort of competition that's gone on recently, the World Cup. I'd like to chat with you guys a little bit about how that went.
Okay, no problem.
So sit yourself tight, and you make sure you sit tight as well. We will be back in just a few minutes.
If you missed the hilarious gay sitcom Carry On Brighton last week, was it last week?
It is not gay.
I know it, but if they saw it, if you missed the hilarious gay sitcom Carry On Brighton that was here, you can still check it out on YouTube.
It's completely wrong.
This shepherd's pie says, I know I'm just your dad, and what do I know? It says, he was an idiot and didn't deserve you. This shepherd's pie says, I'm useless at this sort of thing, but I give good hugs. It says, chin up, lass.
With real herbs and seasoning, Coleman's make proper British meals that say it all.
Oh my, that's fruity. New big tasting fruit, herbal and green teas from PG Tips.
All new Lynx upgraded, and now introducing new Lynx antiperspirant with 48 hours of protection.
The Big BT summer sale is now on. Get our lowest ever price on BT Infinity fibre optic broadband plus unlimited UK weekend calls. It's £5 a month for the first 6 months and £15 a month after that. It's so good that 9 out of 10 BT Infinity customers would recommend it to friends and family. Hurry, the Big BT summer sale ends 22nd of September. Call today on 0800 500 289.
John suffers from indigestion at night. His twin suffers from heartburn at night. Sometimes it's the other way round, or both. They trust Gaviscon Double Action. It gets to work instantly, lasts up to twice as long as antacids, and soothes even when you're lying down. Gaviscon Double Action, so heartburn and indigestion don't disturb your sleep.
When guests come for dinner at my restaurant, it's like they've come to my home. I need to get rid of tough stains like red wine fast. So here's my tip. 1 capful Spanish roll, and then I'm going to rub that for about 30 seconds. Easy peasy.
Here's a typical red juice stain. Vanish Gold starts working as soon as it hits the stain. Add an extra scoop, all gone.
Welcome back to Matchday Breakfast. I've got some bad news and some good news now. The bad news is it's the last part, so you've only got 11 more minutes to enjoy with us. The good news, though, is that Milton and Daniel are still here. How are you doing, guys?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Now, before the commercial, we were talking a little bit about the Olympic legacy and how that had affected basketball in the UK going forward. But the World Cup's also just recently taken place with the United States, probably unsurprisingly, winning against Serbia. In the aftermath, there's been various people making comments in the media that NBA players shouldn't be allowed to represent the US within the World Cup to give, I suppose, the college players and what have you more chance. As someone who's come through at the US, what would your opinion be on that?
I feel like they should play. I mean, I feel like the best players from every country should play. So why not let them play? So they should give chances to college players to play, but for the most part, they're the best. They're the best that we have in the US. So why not let them play?
And for yourself, obviously not being from America, but from a coach's point of view, if you were sort of let's assume that you were in the US coaching a team at college level or what have you. What would your opinion be in that situation? Do you think that, as you said, I mean, it's a big tournament, the biggest players should play, you want the audience want to see that, or is it that kind of proving ground that the younger players need?
No, I'm a bit torn, but ultimately I think Milton's right. At the end of the day, the best players in any country from that country should be able to go and represent that country. Would we suddenly say in the World Cup in football, suddenly the Premiership players can't play, or I think you've got to get to a point, and I know it's different with basketball and the college and the NBA professionals, but no, I think at the end of the day, people are going to pay money to go and to watch. They want to see the best that they can see, and it's not just the American NBA players. There were NBA players across all countries, France, Serbia, so many European countries now have an influx of NBA players, and I think that if you were to take all of them away, ultimately you're reducing the standard or the level of competition. Therefore, it doesn't have the same hype as it should have, and maybe that's what draws so many people to come along and watch it and be part of it. Opportunity to see that guy, LeBron James or whoever it is playing.
Now, Serbia themselves obviously had a really good tournament, getting all the way to the final. I think it's probably fair to say they surprised a lot of people by getting that far. But is there going to come a time in the foreseeable future where anyone is going to be challenging the United States for sort of supremacy in that area?
Over to Milton.
I don't see it. but I'm not sure. You never know. But that might take a while.
I don't know. I can't see it either. But again, as I say, there's a huge amount of European players playing in the NBA now, and the San Antonio Spurs, I believe, who have the most European players within their roster, have just won the championship last year. So it's not that cut and dry. But again, it's a case of, if you're taking the best from each, is there enough best from each in these other countries that are going to be able to compete? And I think at this stage the answer is probably no, certainly in the short term.
Now, that you could argue, we've talked a little bit about the way that in the US players come through high school, college, etc. I guess that's probably largely why the US is so much more successful than the other countries. Now, I know that earlier on you both saw the video that we showed that Jay has been working on, focusing on basketball in schools in the UK, which kind of is tied into a little bit of what you were saying about funding being cut. Sure. So yeah, I kind of want to just talk a little bit about what the state of basketball in schools within the UK is like. Now, you're going to have a very unique insight as a coach.
Yeah, sure.
How hard is it to get these sort of secondary school level kids interested in basketball and get them playing to that level where you can get them into your team?
I think that's the problem, is we're trying to get secondary school kids into the game. It's got to come before that. It's got to come at primary school level when they are 8, 9, 10 years old. So then when they go to high school or to secondary school, they've already have a basic understanding of the fundamental skills involved. They may have a slight passion for it already, and then as long as in place in these secondary schools you've got the PE departments that are willing to push that sport, as with all the other sports. It's not obviously just basketball. I think that's where the development is being hindered at this stage. And then obviously if that's in place, then the resources become a lot easier, because you've got more kids that are interested in college level, and then naturally the progression goes on and filters up through to be able to play National League junior level, and then obviously National League men's level in this country.
Now, with Worthing Thunder themselves, you've got quite good links with local sort of teams in education establishments. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, we work a lot in the community. We go into a lot of schools. We send players like Milton and other players of our first team players into the schools, and they go and do coaching sessions. We've had community-based programs where we go and we talk about healthy eating and lifestyle changes and decisions, and obviously we coordinate that in with the basketball sessions as well. Along with that, we do have relations with all the local league clubs, which is going really well of late. And Sussex basketball, I believe, has really taken off recently. We've been very successful with our National League teams. Worthing Thunder actually has 6 National League junior teams, which is a collection of all the players across all the local league teams drawn together so that we can go and compete with a city the size of Manchester and Sheffield, etc., etc. And we've had great success. The team I coached, one of the teams I coached last year, under 14s, was 2nd in the country. The under 13 were 3rd in the country. South East England were 1st in the country at under 11s this summer just gone. So there's a lot of kids playing at a high level, but there's still so much room for improvement. And as I say, I believe it comes from grassroots. It's got to come from grassroots.
And how much of a difference does it make to have someone like Milton or someone else from Worthing Thunder to go into the schools? Because, when I was at secondary school, I was moderately interested in basketball. I enjoyed playing it. I'll be honest, the main reason for that was because I was absolutely rubbish at football. So I had to find something else I could play instead. It was better with the hands, really. Yeah. And I mean, I always really enjoyed it, but, I suppose in secondary schools, you've got one PE teacher or a collection of PE teachers who are effectively having to be experts across all the sports. How much more of a difference does it make within schools to be able to actually have a basketball player, whether it's from the UK, the US, or anywhere else, to go in and actually sort of get the interest of these kids?
Yeah. Ironically, we had this discussion the other day. Obviously in America they have a basketball coach in high school that just coaches basketball across all age groups. So he's obviously specialised to do that. You then have your American football coach does the same thing. And as you just said, a PE teacher over here, they've got a tough job having to teach badminton, tennis, basketball, whatever. And I think that the difference is when you can take an expert in, you're going to draw the kids in, and even the kids that aren't so interested, they'll have the know-how and the knowledge to be able to say, well, I can draw you in by doing something slightly different, but you're still going to get some fun out of this and you're going to be able to progress and learn. But, obviously, with all due respect, if I turn up to a session, you look at me, or Milton turns up to a session, you look at Milton, and, these kids look up there and the American accent, and, there's a story behind it, it engages them a little bit more. So as long as that player then goes in and there's some substance behind them rather than just an image, then that's a great way to draw kids in and to enthuse them initially. You've then got to make sure you've got the standards in place to push them through and develop them.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about Sussex getting to the point where it can become competitive, I suppose, with the likes of a Sheffield or a Manchester.
Yeah.
What is the current state of basketball within Sussex itself compared to other parts of the UK?
Well, as I say, I believe it's doing fantastic. At the moment, there are 3 under 13 National League teams. That's new. It's only been one previously, which was Worthing Thunder. 2 other teams have come in to play National League. But generally, as I said, we are competing on a national level. 3 years ago, we won the Worthing Thunder won the under 18s national playoff competition. And I think that there's enough kids that want to play. The biggest problem is giving them the opportunity to be coached by quality coaches and to have the facilities. And that's the big thing, is the facilities and the availability of resources.
Now, Milton, I'm going to put you on the spot here now. You're new to Worthing. I appreciate that, but everyone's got their dreams and aspirations. So if you just close your ears for a minute, Daniel.
Okay.
Ideal world. Where do you see yourself one day? Presumably you want to play at the highest level.
Yeah.
Who would you ideally want to be playing alongside, and what team would you want to be in?
Well, the ideal goal is the NBA, so of course that. So, but it really doesn't matter what team. I just want to represent one team and just do all I can to help. That's all.
And what would be the situation in terms of taking Daniel with you? Will you get an invitation? Take him over?
Of course.
Like
okay, that's good. That's good.
Of course.
Good coach to work under. Not too
good
shouty.
coach. Good coach.
Not too
Good
shouty.
Coach.
Because you do sound a bit hoarse. I've noticed that you have to have a couple of drinks of water there to make sure.
My wife loves it. From September through to April, when the season finishes, she can hardly hear me, so I can't complain or moan or anything like that, because I do become very hoarse and lose my voice. So she quite likes it too.
Well, guys, it's Crawley tonight, so best of luck for that. We'll be keeping a close eye on it, and hopefully be able to welcome you in to come and speak to us a little bit more in the future. But unfortunately, that is just about all the time we have for your match day breakfast this week. So obviously, thank you to Daniel, Milton, and to all of our guests. Don't forget to tune in tonight for At the Amex, where we'll be rounding up all your local sports. But for myself, that's all for now.